Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining today's webinar about SmartKit 23.1 and how you can simplify your workflows with the standard window that was introduced in SmartKit. First, some things in terms of housekeeping. The webinar will be recorded and we will share the recording and the slides later this week, hopefully. You can use the Q&A module to ask questions and share comments with us. We will come back to all of those later. So we will not do a live Q&A today, but we will come back with all the answers later. Yeah, that's all for the housekeeping part. My name is Daniel Siegel. I work for Syntevo. I have a role somewhere between business development and product management, and I will guide you through the webinar today. One of the things that is really important to our success, to how we work as an organization, is that we constantly try to improve our products. But there is so many flavors of how you can use Git that we need your feedback. And we are always happy to hear your feedback. And we have two primary channels for you to give us feedback. One is our user echo page, which is meant for feature requests, where you can also discuss features with other users of SmartKit. And the other one, should you encounter issues using SmartKit, smartkit@syntevo.com is our support email address, where we'll try to help you and help you to solve your issues should they arise. What was the problem statement before we started the development of the standard window? Yeah, we all know Git can be pretty complex if you want to do advanced stuff. And so also some of our older flavors of the Git UI were very, very powerful, but not necessarily perfect for people that start or that have to follow a process defined by their organization. Some workflows became very inefficient for that manner and hard to document, which is also always a hassle for users from organizations that build safety critical software. If the workflows are hard to document, it's typically not very nice to have. Also, we want the clean history is something that matters a lot to us and also to our users, that you can clean up your history. You can make a meaningful history with high quality commit messages and so on. Conflict resolution is also something that if you are a long-standing SmartKit user, you will know we do a lot to make resolving your merge conflicts easy. And we constantly also work to improve those scenarios so it becomes easier for new people and so on. And on the other hand, there is a lot of Git hosting providers, as we call them, like GitHub, BitBucket, Azure DevOps, and so on, GitLab. And we try to make SmartKit in a way so if you are used to using SmartKit, it doesn't really matter if you're using GitHub or GitLab for a given project. Something we see very often at organizations that use multiple of those hosting providers for their delivery of software. So the rationale behind standard window is simplification for the end users, for especially also for people that are newer to using Git, but also for experienced users. And for the organizations, it becomes a lot easier to standardize your workflows, your processes. So that's in for the organizations that deploy Git version control using SmartKit as their preferred client. And generally speaking, for those that use SmartKit for a long time, the cronies, it's a combination of the log and the working tree window. And this was kind of frequently requested from the user base. So we also listened carefully and designed something from ground up. And we are still working daily to improve what we built. If you want to read all the details, I copy a link into the slide deck where you can read the full story, what's in it for you. The second part is that the standard window is only available for our commercial customers. If you are from academia, you can talk to me. Maybe we can find a solution for the academia users. It's all about feature branch-based workflows. We have the UI concept of tabs for fast navigation between repos, and also fast navigation inside the repo between your local changes and your Git history. And a good example for how we developed the standard window is the smart pull. We tried to build a hassle-free pull. We call it smart pull. It doesn't have a lot of options like others do, or other options to do the pull. And it's all focused on getting the job done of pulling the latest from your remote. And we constantly improve also the process to set up, to configure SmartGit, to make it for one more customizable for your individual use cases, but also very well suited to organization-wide rollouts. And I think this is kind of important. This was like our mission statement when we developed the standard window, that we will take away some of the freedoms that come with Git to avoid complex states of your Git repos on your disk, which in turn leads to a more standardized process and to less issues with your valuable source code in your repos. And I think this is important, that we did not try to add all of the capabilities that are built into Git accessible, but we tried to standardize on a proper best practice style scenario. Again, SmartGit, if you're new, this might be new for us. One of the key benefits of our tooling is that we have exactly the same experience on Mac, Linux, and Windows. Today, the demos will be done on Windows, but I could do the exactly same demo on Linux or Mac OS. It's, again, important for the organizations that you only have to write your manuals, your process descriptions once. The standard window can be accessed in 3 ways. If you set up SmartGit in a new way, you get asked during the setup wizard if you want to choose the standard window, the log graph, or the working tree version of the SmartGit UI. You can always, when you're used to one of our other 2 UIs, switch to the standard window to glance into it, to peek into it, using the window menu, show standard window. And you can at any time change it in the preferences in the UI in the user interface section, and you can basically default to the standard window even on an installed SmartGit. One of the features that we feel is not very well known is that we have already in 23.1 a proper integration for token-based authentications as requested by GitHub, GitLab, Azure DevOps, and so on. And there is this, if you clone a repo, you have this down-facing arrow where you can either configure your hosting provider or you can use an already configured one. To maintain the hosting providers, we have a special entry in our preferences where you can at any stage modify the settings you have chosen to use. The standard window is all about the enhanced workflow support. Maybe some of you already know our Gitflow Wizard, and this is basically similar to the Gitflow Wizard we have in the other 2 windows, but it's easier to set up and use. it comes down to 3 buttons: start, integrate, and finish. Start is used to start a new feature branch. Integrate is used to automatically pull your chosen main branch before you start the rebase of the feature branch. And finish helps you to finish off a feature branch, meaning merging back into your main branch. And if you have a pull request or merge request configured, you will be automatically transferred to your hosting provider. If you don't use merge or pull requests, you can finish the feature branch also directly in SmartGit. For GitHub, we already have some more advanced integrations into their tooling. We are constantly looking into adding these types of capabilities also for GitLab and maybe others, but currently GitHub is leading or is where we try those new things, these new integrations out first. What you can see in the screenshot, I have a red CI icon and a green CI icon. The red means my pipeline had some errors. The green means my pipeline worked out nicely. And you can also see directly below the feature branch, I can see the attached pull request in GitHub. And if I double click, it will directly take me to the pull request in GitHub. One of the topics of the webinar is also how you can integrate issue trackers into your commit messaging. And one of the ways we have, which is our universal issue tracker integration, is following the BugTrack system. So you basically just need a .gitbutrack file in the root folder of your repository, and you can specify how a link is created. We will look into this in a bit more detail in the demo. And what you can see, you then get these blue links in your history view, and you can directly click on them, and it will take you, in this case, to GitHub, but it could also be Chyra, it could be utrack. It's possibly for most tools to define these gitbutrack files. In the repo mentioned above, there is some examples of how to configure for the various tools. For Chyra, we have a more advanced integration using the Chyra REST API, where you can also query issues directly when creating a commit message, which can come in very handy if you want to link your commits to the proper Chyra ticket as you go along. There is a help page on that, how to configure it. If you use Chyra and SmartGit, I highly recommend checking this feature out. It will change how you see things. Another point, SmartGit capability is that we care a lot about conflict resolution and diffing. And as it happens, we even have various views how to present the information. The classical SmartGit way of doing it is the 3-column view you can see to the left, but we also can do a view which is seen in some modern IDEs, where you have the differences on the top and the merge preview on the bottom. You can choose as you go which one you like most. I will show you later also in the demo how this is done. One of the very nice capabilities in SmartGit, if you are a merge nerd or tasked with complex merges, we also have the base changes view, which is very helpful to understand the change that really happened. In this case, you can see Daniel changed the name of an attribute in both branches, and the common base change helps me to instantly see that the original was just SQL. To the right, I named it to SQL query, and to the left, I named it to SQL command. Makes it far easier to understand what's going on in those types of scenarios. Another feature where we really invested a lot of time is that the standard window helps you to keep a clean history. You can, for one, a modern concept, you can start the commit message already before you start your code changes. So you can check out the branch and start compiling your commit message without you even have done, with no code changes up to that point before. We have very nice amend support, something I need a lot because typically the first commit doesn't do it for me. We have the capability, also handy for me. I do a lot of typos if I'm in a rush. We can edit commit messages. We can reorder commits. We can edit full commits. I can add more changes to an existing commit. I can split the commit if I want to move one part of the commit to a different branch, for example, or if I think from a history perspective, it makes more sense to split out the change. All this capability is built into the standard window, and it helps you to maintain a clean history of your changes in your code base. For the enterprise type customers, organizational customers, we have a very cool new capability that is an on-premise license server that ships as a Docker container that helps you keep track of your SmartKit licenses in your organization. And again, if you are under rules like safety critical software, it will also tell you which versions of SmartKit are used by your fellow developers and helps you one step ahead again to stay up to date with your organizational requirements when it comes to standardization. So what will I show you in the demo? We will start with a half-fresh computer. We will set up SmartKit. We will clone a repo from GitHub. I will show you some handling with branches. We will try to merge code, and we will look into the commit organization, how we can organize commits. So now off to the demo. Yeah, the demo is already kind of open. Just to start things, this is our license server UI, where you can have a web front end to see the stats of your license usage in your organization. My personal license is just a 4-user license, so it's not too exciting, but I think it gives you an idea. Next up, I start SmartKit, and I choose to understand and agree the license agreement. And here we have two options. I can either specify a local license file, or I can have an on-premise license server. For today, we go with the on-premise license server. I simply copy this URL into here. If you use 23.1.3 and upwards, you just need this simple URL to the server and not the more parameter URL that you need for older versions. Next up, I can choose which SSH client I want to use. I use the SmartKit one. And here comes the window why we all meet today. And I will do the unexpected now. I will choose lock graph to start. Why? You will find out in a second. Then we take privacy very seriously at Syntevo. So you have all the options to opt out your privacy settings as to your liking. Now SmartGit started up. And why did I start this way? Because I want to show you this show standard window, which is very nice and hidden. So you can look at the same data in your old, doesn't sound nice, but in the view you're used to, and you can peek into using standard window. And if you're sure you want to change, you simply go to user interface preferences and choose standard window. And now I need to restart SmartKit for a second, and SmartKit is now set as a default for standard window. If I want to go back to LogGraph to do a specific job I'm used to do in LogGraph, I can still show the log window at any point in time. Now, whenever we do stuff in Git, we need to clone first. So I choose to clone, and here is this hidden feature kinda to add hosting provider. You have the opportunity to encrypt your passwords with a master password. Because I'm only going to store tokens, I choose not to use a master password for the sake of the demo. And I can now hit the generate token button. And because I'm logged in with 2 users in GitHub, I can now choose which one I want to use. And the token is automatically created and transferred to SmartGit. Now I just hit add. And it takes a short while. And now I will have a list of all my repos where I'm allowed to do stuff on GitHub, and I can select one and I can clone it. Now the repo is being cloned. And we are ready to do some stuff. I just want to take a second to show you also that it works with GitLab. I can again go here, clone, choose add hosting provider, choose GitLab. And it's the same process, the same automatic approach. And I now also have my GitLab repositories available. They are less for this specific GitHub account, but I think GitLab account, but I think you get the idea. It's basically the same. So I can also clone from GitLab using the same idea as I showed you before with GitHub. We need to click one more time and it will all be good. And now you can see one first feature of the standard window, that we have an organization with tabs. And so now I have the Gizmod project and the pipeline repo, and I can switch between them in a very fast fashion. If I hit the plus, I see our repo browser, the local repo browser, and I have the clone capability also here. But now we go to the pipeline repo. On the pipeline repo, I will first show you how to start a new feature branch. I can click start, and it asks me what is my main branch. In this case, it's pretty simple because there is only a main branch and no develop branch. And because I use this GitHub style branching without the feature prefix, my feature branches will not be prefixed with feature slash, but I can type in feature 1, and I basically created a feature branch. Now we need some changes to the feature branch. So I open up a no, this is the wrong one, sorry. Open file. We go to the repos folder. And I open up the README. Yes, I know I'm not the most creative, but typically I add blanks for demos, and we can save the changes to the README. What happens now in the standard window, you can already see it switched to the local files view. Again, I can go back to history, but the local files is what I want to do. And if we look at how we craft commit messages, I can either choose an old message from below, and I can replace it. I can choose the last one, or I can simply click amend, and it will be automatically amended to the last changes. We don't want that now, but just to give you an idea. So now we call it it's a bit difficult for me now because I know you should specify the why. The why is demo. For demo, I added blanks. Not my best commit message, of course. Now I got the option to choose my GitHub email address. And I can now add the commit. The branch is not yet pushed, but I can now push the branch and it's available on GitHub from now on. If I want to finish the branch, when I'm done doing my feature branch, I can hit the finish button. And the finish button will give me the option to either locally finish the branch or to create the pull request. And I also have the possibility to create the merge commit should I want to do so. I choose now the most simple way. I finish the branch locally and my newly created feature branch is again merged back into main. I prepared a different example that is a bit more exciting for today's discussion. I have a conflict in the code. And you can see my conflict of feature branch is green when it comes to the continuous integration. I can go here and say open CI result, and it will directly show me my GitHub actions run and that everything went nicely on this feature branch. Because it's a bit behind main, I can now choose to do integrate. Integrate is also a smart capability because it will automatically pull the latest main before it starts a rebase. And obviously, I prepared the test data and there's a conflict in this interface. We can see that there was a data type change from int to long or from long to int, and there was a name change. And I can now open the conflict solver. As I explained before, we have two views for the conflict solver. I can see the conflict in this 3-column style, or I can choose a merge below, which gives me more of this flow look to the conflict. And as mentioned before, we also have this base changes option, which opens up a new window. And this is the common base between the feature branch, conflict demo, and the main. And I can clearly see what was changed from the common base. Here it was changed from long to int. And in the other feature branch, the name of SQL query was changed. So now I feel pretty confident I understand what I did. Interestingly, my main branch doesn't seem to build. It's not yet updated, but it will update in a second. So now we're gonna resolve the conflict. I can jump to a conflict. I'm already there and can say take left or choose another option. 1 second. Here, take left, and the conflicts are basically resolved now, and I hit save, and the conflict resolution is done, and SmartKit automatically asks me to mark this file as resolved, which is obviously what I want to do. In the local files view, you can see it was moved down from the top bar to the lower window. And now I can click on continue and the rebase will be continued. Should I have a multi-step rebase, this would also be taken into account. Now I have 3 local changes that I need to push. And here comes an interesting feature. In order to make sure everybody understands that it's a potentially problematic operation to push on, to override changes on a branch, you have to enable once that you understand what you're doing. Typically, this should be solved with branch protection rules on the server side. On the commands page in the preferences, you choose allow modifying pushed commits. And now I'm able to push my changes with a force push to the remote, in my case, GitHub. And obviously the CI/CD will start running again, and we will see how it goes if we are lucky or not. So what I showed you so far is some handling with branches. I have one more branch prepared here. This one is linked to a pull request. And if I click on the finish button for this branch that is linked with a pull request, as you can see here, SmartGit will automatically tell me, hey, there is a pull request. Go to GitHub and resolve the pull request here. Also, maybe interesting, I'm working on a fork, and this is the main repo where the pull request is, but all my changes are coming from this Daniel Siegel fork of this repo. So we are not going to merge this one back right now. I just wanted to show you the pull request integration, and we are looking into similar integrations for GitLab and BitBucket going forward. And so I think this part of the demo is finished. And now we go to the last part of the demo, the commit organization. I can, for example, rename a message. And so I can try to fix typos and stuff in my commit messages, something that happens to me quite often. I can reorder commits. So for example, I can move this commit upwards. I can squash commits and make one commit out of two commits. I can even split a commit. Should I want to, because there's two files and I decide, okay, maybe this YAML file should be in a different commit, I can come here and split a commit, an existing commit, into two commits using a save to stash operation. And then I could even use this split commit to start a new feature branch if I did changes to a file that potentially belong to a different feature branch. And yeah, and I can, yeah, this is the main capabilities we have for the commit organization. There is lots of more small details, but I just wanted to show you some of the important ones. And yeah, one more thing. As I said before, I can at any stage, even without local changes, start to typing a commit message. And even after I've written the commit message, I can again add some blanks to my README EMD. And you can see you can also do a workflow where you start crafting your commits as you go. The last thing I need to show you is the gitbutrack integration. For that, I will discard here. And we will switch to the main branch. And all I need basically is one file, a gitbutrack file. That should be somewhere here. Ah, it's gone. Funny. Okay, we will survive without it. Or maybe, do we have time? Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. I will take another one and show you what it takes. So what I do now, I went to my main engineering computer and I copy an existing gitbutrack file to my demo computer. And we open it up in Visual Studio Code. So you now, or in Notepad, doesn't really matter. So you now get the full experience. This is the URL that's currently there. We are working in a different repo, in this pipeline tools repo. So I copy the URL from GitHub. I copy it to my gitbutrack file that I just found in a different repo. And that's all I need to do. So this is a template I use for GitHub. So it uses this hash prefix for the commits. And now the only thing left to do is we need to copy the file from here to the repo directory, to the pipeline directory. And we need to reload SmartKit. And now in the history, you can already see that commit messages that used a link to the GitHub already are enhanced with links. I can click here and it will automatically take me to the related GitHub issue that I used for this commit message. And again, it's super simple. I just type something like 66 here, hash 66, and that's all that is required to use SmartKit and the gitbutrack capability to enable this linking directly to pull requests in the GitHub case and to issues. Okay, so that's it for the demo. And you could definitely see it's all live. So we are constantly improving our software. So we are currently full steam ahead in working on 24.1, which will be released later in 2024. If you are interested to check it out already, it's possible. Under SmartGit/preview, you can always get the current pre-release version. It has two capabilities that I really like, despite many small ones. We revamped the hosting provider integration to be easier to access and to find out about it. This is the left screen. And to make token authentication easier overall, SmartGit now can also serve as a credential helper, and you can use SmartGit as your credential helper, so you do not need to authenticate anywhere else. The summary: the SmartGit standard window reduces complexity in working with Git. It makes it easy to work with a mixed experienced team. You know, if you have newbies and cronies in your team, it becomes a lot easier if you have this workflow-driven style of using Git. We have lots of tools that help you keep your history clean. And yeah, my invitation to you is to install SmartGit 23.1 or 24.1 Preview and check it out and start working a little bit with the standard window. Give it a chance to see if this is for you. Thank you for joining the webinar today and for listening in. Again, the two links to keep in touch with us is smartkit.userecho.com for feature requests. And should you have issues using our tooling, it's smartkit@zittable.com. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you were happy.